Alright, I am back. This is Base Phoenix here. This will go on YouTube. It's not gonna follow the plan I originally had. I'm just gonna feel it out and see how it goes here on Twitch. But these Twitch videos will be ported over um, to YouTube. I kind of like doing it this way. So we'll see how this goes. Last time we were reading, Jay was accepting these shady guys' offer. So we're continuing from there. Jay holds out his arms, shivering as the temperature drops as they approach their destination. There's a light blue light coming from an ice-coated room. Once they're at the entrance, Jay looks around at the room and realizes it's a meat freezer. The guard pats Jay on the back before he ventures back through the dark. Enter, a smooth voice commands from the cold. Jay steps into the room, looking more carefully around. There are meat slabs hung up with hooks on the ceiling. In the middle of the back room is a desk with pictures of a family of four. An older Italian heavyset man with his wife and son. It should be a family of three. I don't know why I wrote four. Also on the desk is a deli slice with dried blood stains on it. Behind the desk is nothing but shadows. At the desk sits Alfonso Durante, head of the Durante family and organization. Mr. Jones, I've been waiting for you, kiddo. Have a seat, Durante says, inviting Jay in. If the room would allow, Jay would be sweating, and it feels as if his throat is closing. He instantly thinks he made the wrong decision. Though this man's voice said otherwise, he did not seem very inviting. Jay forces his legs to move forward, and he sits in the chair in front of the desk. What do you want from me? She says, eyeing at the frosted floor as he's trying not to make it obvious that he's trying to see the boss's face. Hey kid, I'm doing you a favor, so how about you show me some respect? His heart jumps. For a brief second, he believed he could die for saying the wrong thing. He feels as if he knows this type of person, though this didn't make the experience any less frightening. He looks up at the boss, then back at the floor, holding his arms and still shivering. Sorry. Durante folds his hands, revealing his fair skin from the shadows. Now I understand you're in a bit of a bind. You could say that, Jay says, attempting to choose his words carefully. Well, our organization specializes in helping people in binds. Lucky you, Durante says. He holds a meaty finger up. Jay can't help but watch it as he has nothing else of this man to see, especially not his eyes. But our assistant comes at a price, you see. I'll be straight with you, and tell you that we'd like you to work for my son. Next to his father, from behind the shadows, steps Matteo Durante, also known as Ignitro. He has a chin stubble like Jay. Jay notices Ignitro has a tank top on despite the fact they're in a freezer. Say hi, Matteo, says Durante. Ignitro says nothing, intensely eyeing Jay as Jay tries to keep focus on Durante. We've been watching you. You're not a punk like those other kids, like that psycho Hector. And we know you can fight. You're not trying to be a boss. You'd make a good soldier. Follow orders. I'd say you could be a bodyguard for Matteo, but that's what Isaac is for. Who's opposite from Ignitro, but also from behind the shadows of the desk, steps Isaiah Isaac, also known as Isaac. He has a hoodie like Jay, but it's sleeveless. He's also wearing mixed martial art gloves. Oh. Durante looks at Isaac while Isaac glares at Jay. Well, Isaac here works for the both of us. Best damn bodyguard around. Ain't that right, Isaac? Isaac moves his glare from Jay to Durante. He flashes a smile at Durante. Then he wipes his smile as he goes back to glaring at Jay. Durante does the same, but he's not glaring. His look is more inviting. Jay notices this is the first time that he can see the man's eyes in the darkness, though there's nothing past his cornea showing. So you'll just be helping us out. So you'll just be helping us all at wherever and however you can. What's up, Dragiers? We won't have you do nothing dangerous, Durante informs. Jay sits up. Pardon me for asking, Durante. Please, call me Alfonso. I'd rather not. Smart. But it doesn't seem like you actually need me. You just said I wouldn't be a bodyguard even though you claim I can fight. Why are you hiring me? Jay asks in a tone that sounds like forced politeness. Kid, I already told you, Durante starts. Then he leans forward, revealing his slightly wrinkled, tired-looking face complemented by thin facial hair. He's smiling. We like to help people in need out. Ignitro, I know it's a silly name, but it's a superhero book, lies in bed, tossing and turning, unable to get sleep. He's sweating an absurd amount as he's unable to get his mind off his mother. He sits up in bed and tries to recount everything. The deal wouldn't have gone south if he would have just listened. Thanks, Jagiers. His mother, Emma, scolded the boss. Mateo sat in the middle of the back seat of their family car. He was used to his parents arguing. They'd get intense, but he knew they loved each other. Even at the young age of 6, he could tell. Knowing they'd settled their dispute about their questionable business deal, Mateo averts his eyes out the window, watching lampposts lighten and darken the inside of the car. He then looked back at his parents. Something his mother said caught his attention, but even in the current day, he's unable to remember. The next feeling he had was one of panic as the car forcefully threw him to the left side of the back seat. He saw his parents' arms flail upward, and the gravity of the world felt off as the car flipped over 3 times before finally landing upside down in a ditch. They were no longer in the city, as they were headed west of Haven for a getaway in the country. Alfonso believed he wasn't obligated to keep his eyes glued to the road so he could glare at Emma as he argued with her, resulting in the accident. Alfonso, stunned at what had just happened, managed to crawl out of the wreck through a broken window. He limped over to his son and pulled Mateo free, then waited for Emma to pull herself out. Mateo remembers feeling a moment of panic, then grief, as his father called out his mother's name before setting Mateo down and sprinting over to the passenger side to pull his mother out. Mateo followed his mother to the other side of the car, crying with dirt and blood covering his face. Alfonso managed to pull Emma halfway out the window, then stopped to tell his son to look away, but Mateo couldn't help himself. Instead of looking away, tears bubbled up in his eyes, and they distorted his vision anyway. All he remembers seeing past this point is blotches of pink, yellow, black, and red. Mateo opens his eyes, now sitting on the edge of the bed with his legs hanging off the side. He sighs and rubs his fingers through his hair. Help people, Mateo thinks. We can help everyone except Mom. Chapter 3. 2 days later, Durante contacted Jay and gave him details on a few jobs he had to assist Ignitro and Isaac with. The first job entails breaking and entering to a rival business. They are to retrieve them and return to Durante so he can sell them to the highest bidder. Wait, did I specify it? I should have specified they were documents. I think they were. And under no circumstance were they allowed to peer at the documents. Oh, there I specify. This is stupid. I know it's stupid. I shouldn't be doing this, Jay thinks. But I know we need the money. It's fine if I get in trouble for it as long as I get the money so we can pay everyone off. The university Jay's mother worked at should have been paying well, but the professors had recently gone on strike, so she hadn't received a paycheck in a few weeks, and was using backup money to keep food in the house. Jay knew that this is what he needed to do. He arrives at the grocery store side entrance, and there is a black car already waiting for them. Ignacio sits on the passenger side, Isaac behind him, and Jay climbs behind the driver. The car pulls off, and they head for their destination. "You gonna be alright?" Isaac asked Jay, noticing his leg bouncing up and down from anxiousness. "I'm doing that right now." "As long as I don't have to kill anyone, I'll be fine," Jay assures. "You'll kill who I tell you to kill," Ignacio says without looking to the two in the back. "Let's just hope it doesn't come to that. I'd hate for it to get messy." Jay can't help but take a huge gulp before slowly exhaling and trying to control his breathing. He then tries to mentally pump himself up, remembering that this was for his mother. He was willing to go to jail to keep their money flowing. Sadly, he didn't see a positive future for himself anyway, knowing that he wasn't going to college, even though Jackie has tried to convince him otherwise to go to Haven City University. After a rather brief car ride, they pull up to a nightclub. From the line outside, it seemed packed even though it was the late afternoon. The three step out and walk straight up to the bouncer. Bouncer holds his hand out and asks for their names. "Tony sent us," Ignacio says. The bouncer presses the piece in his ear to listen closely to his boss's words, and then points the three to the door. They step inside, and Jay takes in the scene. It's what he pictures all clubs to look like. Bright lights, music with heavy bass, people dancing, drinking, and laughing. Ignacio nods to a door in the back, and Isaac and Jay peel off towards it while Ignacio heads to the boss's office. One of the two guards watching the entrance to Tony's office opens the door for Ignacio, and he steps in with his arms wide, putting on a fake smile. "Hey, Tony, how've you been?" Ignacio asks. Tony, dressed in a white suit, gently pushes a model off his lap and glares at Durante's son. "Cut this shit, Matt," Tony demands. "There's swearing in the book." There's the warning. Kind of late, but there's the warning. "Cut the shit, Matt," Tony demands. "You finally caving in for real?" Ignacio nods, still smiling. "Yeah, crazy, isn't it?" He says. "We're looking forward to working with you." "Appreciate the words, my boy," Tony says. He snaps, and a guard from outside the door walks in and brings out two glasses from a drawer in the room. "You want a drink? Let's have a drink." Isaac and Jay eye the guards in the vicinity of the door they're supposed to get through. Isaac loudly whispers to Jay. "Use the hookup we have to create a distraction," he says. "I'll get through the door." Jay nods and pulls out his phone to see the description of the plant Durante said. He walks over to the corner of the bar near the guards and sits down next to a woman. "The butcher would like to thank you for your assistance," Jay says, using the code words Durante gave him. The woman in the red dress he's sitting next to looks at him and nods. She grabs her drink and walks over to one of the guards, tripping and spilling it on his suit. "Hey, what the hell, lady?" the guard exclaims. She smiles and wobbles back and forth as if she's actually drunk. "Sorry, handsome," she says. I'm just trying to find the bathroom." "Do I look like a toilet to you?" "Everything all right over here?" Jay walks up and asks, his legs shaking through his baggy pants. "She with you?" the guard with the wet suit asks. Another one walks over and scopes out the situation. "What's wrong?" he asks. "This chick spilled a drink on me," the wetsuit guard explains. "So change," the other guard says. "I don't know what you're making a big deal out of nothing for. There are drunk people here. It's a club. Get over it." "How about I spill a drink on you then?" Jay looks over at Isaac. Isaac is already at the door and twists the knob, opening it and sneaking in. Jay thinks this odd, believing that a room holding such sacred documents would be unlocked. Within a matter of seconds, Isaac steps back out and nods at Jay. For a second, Jay believes the job went off without a hitch, and this isn't anything he could actually go to jail for. He believes this until a third guard that they didn't see before walks up to Isaac and starts questioning him. Jay doesn't hear the conversation, but Isaac ends up punching the guard in the stomach so hard that blood spews from the guard's mouth. Hey, the dry guard near Jay says as he sprints over to his partner. The plant woman cracks the glass she's holding over the wet guard's head and immediately knocking him out. Jay's fighting adrenaline kicks in, and he looks for nearby threats. But because he's done nothing, no one suspects him. Until Isaac runs over to him and grabs his arm, pulling them both for the exit. What was what was that? Is that screaming? Tony asks. Dude, how much have you had to drink? Ignitro says. I don't hear anything. Tony points the guards off to go check out the noise. Ignitro takes the opportunity to set Tony ablaze. Not with the lighter, but nothing but his palms. Tony's screams attract the guards back to Tony's office, but when they reach it, Ignitro is gone. The four of them, including the plant, hop into the car that's been parked out front. The bouncer heads inside as he hears more screams erupt from the partiers. They pull off. Jay looks back and sees smoke emerging from the front doors. You set the club on fire? Durante questions. Ignitro shrugs. Only after I was sure we got the documents, he says. Speaking of, Isaac sets down the documents on Durante's desk. Durante looks up at his son, wanting to scold him, but he calms down after seeing Jay's worried face. At least you got what we needed, Durante says. He looks at Jay again. What's wrong, kid? Matt, didn't kill anyone, did he? He asks. No one innocent, Ignitro says. Dude was a human trafficker. That make you feel any better, kid? I guess. Jay's thoughts trail off elsewhere. They don't trust you right now, he thinks. I need to do something that'll make them trust me more. I need the money he's offering. Durante, a voice shouts in the darkness of the storage room before the boss's office. A frail man steps in and slaps a paper on his desk. Durante looks up at the man calmly, but clearly angry. I need the money you promised me sooner than later. I'm in some deep... The man is cut off as Jay puts the man in the headlock. Look, I don't know who you are, but I suggest you keep your voice down when speaking to the boss. Got it? Jay questions. The man says nothing, and Jay tightens his hold before the man lets out a muffled, Good. Jay then lets the man go, and the man massages his own neck before continuing to speak to Durante. But before he can, Durante raises a hand for him to stop. Thank you for that, kid, the boss says. Got another job for you tomorrow. Jay smiles and nods, walking out with his head held high. The next day, Ignitro drives Isaac and Jay to a laundromat. Jay steps out of the car and takes a few steps before realizing that the other two aren't following him. Your father said this was at least a two-man job, Jay says. I've done this myself before, Ignitro says. It's simple. Just pick up the money they owe us and come back. Jay nods and exhales, walking into the laundromat and being hit with the smell of detergent soap and scented dryer sheets. He sees the man in the giant windowed back office with his door open. He makes a beeline for it and knocks on the door. Come in. I'm here to collect for the Durantes, Jay says. The man who was doing some sort of accounting work throws down his pen and rips off his glasses to get a good look at Jay. How old are you? 18, sir, Jay responds. 18? And you're working for the Durantes? What the hell is the point of me paying protection if you're what's here to protect me? The man asks. I can't answer that, Jay says, noticing an envelope full of money on the man's desk. You tell your boss I'm not paying anything until I get some real protection, got me? The man demands. Jay ignores him and snatches the money off the desk, then sprints out of the office all the way to the car with the man following him. As soon as they step outside, Ignitro rolls down the window and holds his palm out at the man. That's far enough, Paul, Durante's son says. Oh, Mateo, I didn't realize you were still working for him, Paul says. He slightly bows his head and backs up toward the laundromat door. Apologies for the confusion, gentlemen. Thank you for your protection. He steps back inside and hides in his office while Ignitro pulls off. He looks at Jay in the rear view mirror. Unconventional method, but I like it, he says. You got the job done irregardless of. Is it regardless or irregardless? I'm going to say irregardless here. Irregardless of the hurdle that Jackass raised. Not bad. Jay smiles, not realizing that he's actually starting to like the job. He did something different every day, and though he was only 2 days in, had not done anything illegal that he'd been reported for up until this point. That he'd be reported for up until this point. That night, he received the message from the boss describing the difficult mission they had the following night. Okay, so this is breaking and entering, Jay says. There's no way we aren't going to jail for this. Ignitro and Isaac exchange looks. Ignitro rolls his eyes. Look, their operation is more illegal than anything we're doing here tonight, he says. Trust me, none of us are going to jail for this. Plus, my dad is in some of the pockets of the cops. So, we just go in and grab the briefcase, Jay asks. Ignitro nods. And if it helps, selling this will actually go toward your payment, Ignitro tells him. Jay nods and exhales before sprinting at the fence, scaling it, and then clearing it. The other two stare at him in amazement before following him and sprinting for the secret entrance to the base that Durante informed them of. That they easily make their way to the darkened room without being seen, and Isaac opens the door like he did back at Tony's club. Shouldn't these doors be locked? Jay thinks. The three of them step inside and grab the briefcase as they're going to leave. Ignitro's foot crosses The three of them step inside, grab the briefcase, and as they're going to leave, Ignitro's foot crosses a laser, setting off the alarms for the entire facility. Ignitro sighs and tells Isaac and Jay to run while he holds the guards back. They don't argue as Jay takes the briefcase and follows Isaac out. Jay looks back and sees Ignitro holding his hands out and releases waves of flames from his palms at the incoming guards. Isaac and Jay make it all the way back to the car and Isaac drives off. Isaac shakes his head. The boss isn't going to like this. Well, he says the boss ain't going to like this, he says. We're probably going to have to get him back. Get him back? What do you mean? They're not going to kill him? Jay asks. Fortunately, no, Isaac says. He's too vulnerable. I don't know if you saw, but he's not entirely human. It's going to sound crazy, but the guy can shoot fire from his hands. Isaac waits to hear a reaction, but there isn't one. You're not surprised? Isaac asks. Not entirely, Jay says. I mean, I believe that there was a hero that stopped the alien invasion 4 years ago. And since then, I've been thinking there were others like that, you know? It is a lot different to see that kind of stuff up close and confirm my theories. Not what I was expecting. How'd you expect me to react? Something more like, holy shit, this dude is shooting fire from his damn hands. That's crazy, you know? Something like that. Isaac says with a monotone voice. Jay can't help laughing. His mood changes when he realizes Durante is going to be fuming for losing his son, so Jay immediately begins hatching a plan. Is this all we could get? Jay asks, standing out front of a small line of Durante's guards. All that I could gather without getting the boss's attention, Isaac says. I suppose this will be enough for a distraction, Jay says. He begins walking back and forth like a drill sergeant. To reiterate the plan, you will all provide covering fire outside to draw the guards from inside to the outside while Isaac and I sneak in to free Mateo. Any questions? Nah, he explained it pretty damn well, Isaac says. Natural leader and shit. The guard begins releasing rounds in the air as they see that Jay and Isaac have successfully snuck inside. They pay attention to where a handful of guards are coming from and head in that direction, in the direction they came from, and try to find Ignitro. Luckily, they were correct in their guess and find the torture room he's being held in. Jay tries the door, but it's locked. Ignitro steps up and rams his shoulder against the door, and the giant metal door pops off the hinges, slamming against the concrete floor in front of Ignitro, who is tied up in a chair and is with his mouth gagged. For being tortured, he has a rather plain expression on his face, though that could just be the blood from his head covering his face. Isaac removes the gag. Took you long enough. Ah, Isaac says, placing the gag back into Ignitro's mouth. He looks at Ignitro's tied hands. Why didn't you just burn the rope? Muffled sounds come from Ignitro's mouth. Isaac removes the gag again. Hands. The fire comes from my hands, Isaac, and those jackasses had guns on me, Ignitro says. Isaac tries to undo the knots and instead gives up and picks up Ignitro and the chair. So you're not normal either, Jay says. Isaac points at the fallen door to confirm his suspicion. The three of them sneak back out and walk to the rendezvous point with the guards that caused the distraction, while the guards from the inside went to see what the noise was, and Isaac and Jay snuck inside. Durante's guards packed up and drove off to a different location, still near the facility, to meet up with them once they rescued Ignitro. And here they were, chair and all. So that's why the guards were running, Ignitro says, commenting on his father's guards sitting in their chairs. Clever stuff, kid. As long as Mateo's alive, I'm not upset, Durante says to Jay and Isaac. You're both brave for going back to save him the same night. Well done. Excuse me. After those assignments over the course of a few days, Jay walks into the living room of his house at dawn, exhausted. He looks at the rolls of money in his hands, thinking it was all worth it despite being so tired. The room is dark, with only a single light source coming from the television that has the news on. Jay looks around for his mother, who is supposed to be released from the hospital overnight. Mom? He calls out. He walks to the television, but on the screen is a news anchorman, Tom, who works for the Best Story Network. Yep, that's right, folks. Our hero serum invented by a Dr. Hanshiro Daichi, also a high-end member of the Alpha Corps, is now available to the public. However, it is very expensive and there is no guarantee you will be able to survive the process. Please take precaution, folks. In addition, this serum was invented to combat the aliens should they ever return. People who receive the serum and live will have mostly free will. However, should the threat return, being a part of the military reserves, they would have to join the fight in saving the planet. Even more information on this breaking news story after we return. I'm Tom. Jay turns the TV off and plops down on the couch, deep in thought about the news he just heard. The sun continues to rise and brightens the room. I think we're going to end it there for today. Thank you for watching, anybody that stopped by, Zaid and Dragiris. We will continue this hopefully tomorrow. I want to try to space it out since I'm not doing the 84 day thing now, but we'll see. Thanks for watching. And the VOD will be on YouTube as well, because I know it doesn't last forever here on Twitch.